Welcome all to arguably one of the most important videos I'll make. In this one we'll be ranking AI cryptos based on best to worst. For each ranking we'll be regarding various aspects such as the quality of the project, usage, community, the coin itself and things like tokenomics, charts, and of course what kinds of returns we expect for these crypto projects from this moment on. For every asset we name I encourage you to listen to my explanation for why that crypto was ranked the way it was. We categorized the L1 niche last video and if you were confused as to why things were ranked the way they were at the end. If two assets end up in B it's not because I think of both of them as the same per se. One could have horrible fundamentals which prevents it from going in the S or A, but great fundamentals which allows it to stay in B. But another asset can have great fundamentals, but poor tokenomics which can lead to it going in the B. A lot of you understood this well, but for the few that didn't, now you know. And if you haven't figured it out by now, with the type of content we're constantly posting here, perhaps subscribing would be in your best interest to always be in the know. Also, I know how much of a hassle it is to buy or trade crypto with all these big exchanges going KYC. I've thus partnered with Fairdesk, who provide these top-tier services without having to do such and without the need of a VPN. So if you're American or British or from any other nation like me where we're limited to slow clunky exchanges that no one really wants to use, then I highly recommend signing up to Fairdesk with link in description. I've even made it where my viewers instantly get VIP 1 status for trading fee discounts and up to 100k in bonuses. But enough of all that, let's now get into it. Remember, AI will be the biggest narrative of this bull run. AI crypto will have the same type of performance as L1's last cycle. And if you weren't here for the last cycle, a lot of these L1s had their biggest gains near the end of their runs. Solana, BNB, DOT, Cardano, Phantom, HBAR, all these assets went ballistic in a very short period of time. Growth was not linear. A big thing I learned in crypto is how hard it is for us to comprehend parabolic growth. Fortunately though, during the making of this video we're still on the right side of this growth. It's still yet to come. Using this SOL chart, I think we're still about here in the AI growth of this cycle. And furthermore, there's a legit argument that when the AI sector does experience this growth, it'll be even more vicious and parabolic than what L1s went through last cycle. There's a plethora of reasons to assume this. Artificial intelligence will be the most speculative bubble ever. We have no idea what the fair value pricing of it is. On top of that, there's little place to invest in AI within traditional finance. So with AI crypto we're getting the beta leverage play on what would have already been incredibly explosive anyway. But then within crypto itself, something I've recently been harping on is this idea of those with strength continuing to show strength. With VC unlocks and dilution and the amount of projects there are, liquidity and attention would spread out too much to allow substantial growth across all of crypto as a whole. And so if AI is this cycle's biggest vector, and the only one showing tangible gains, it'll be a feedback to suck up even more liquidity. Where, by the way, targets of that liquidity are 3 to 4x of the 3 trillion top last cycle. In other words, if you mainly invested in AI assets, things are looking good. Use this video to see if my reasoning and yours have confluence. If you haven't invested in AI or haven't invested enough, perhaps it isn't too late. Use this video to help you get started. Render I'm placing in the S tier. Render is a comfortable top 3 AI project. This has always been the case up until this point. And I don't think that changes. I think Render at the very least by the time this cycle is over stays as a top 5 project throughout, and in all probability top 3. Furthermore, I also believe Render will persist as the #1 GPU crypto this cycle. I understand how many GPU plays have recently come out which on paper may even seem superior to Render, but I don't think any of them flip Render, as the network effects achieved by Render up to this point are going to be extremely difficult to displace. For instance, Render is renowned as the face of GPUs, leading to it always pumping the hardest during events with Nvidia like GTC or just Nvidia earnings in general, where the earnings call is on the 22nd by the way, so watch out for that. Like I said, Render may be one of the biggest gainers when this happens, but it's not exclusive. One thing Render does have to its own, however, is the Apple connection. Whenever anything with Apple comes out that has to do with this space, Render always catches a tremendous bid. Remember, on January 8th we found out the Apple Vision Pro becomes available on February 2nd. That date marked the wick low on Render, before the parabolic 300% gain from $3 to $13. Very recently we got the new iPad Pro featuring the M4 chip, where Render's Octane X was featured in the keynote. These Apple connections won't stop. I can only imagine during the bull these associations leading to stronger and stronger bids. Next up we got the WWDC AI event by Apple on June 10th, so let's see what happens in the lead up to that. Furthermore, the token itself is just displaying incredible strength overall. New all-time highs holding above its old, crushing against Bitcoin, good tokenomics, strong loyal community to go along with it. A 4 billion market cap which isn't exactly low but in all honesty also not that high. I think the S for render makes sense. Near Protocol I'm putting in B, but before you get offended hear me out. Near Protocol as an overall project or layer 1 would obviously be much higher, but as an AI project in specific it doesn't have much going for it as far as being AI. This isn't a bad thing however, as Near has perhaps the most important thing, which is the narrative. Recall that Near Protocol was originally an artificial intelligence project. Ilya has extensive knowledge in AI, and it's only after they shifted to the blockchain. I'd bet my bottom dollar that right now the team is working on integrating AI to its blockchain, and that at some point during this cycle a bomb is dropped about a new AI development on Near. Right now though that doesn't exist, which prevents me from putting Near in S or A, but the prospect is so strong that I can have it in C or D. Akash network I will be giving an A. A lot like Render, it's one of the biggest GPU plays. On top of that, Akash also offers other computing sources such as CPUs and storage, and in ways is more decentralized than Render in that it's open-sourced and permissionless where anyone can pledge computing power, unlike Render where you need approval first, and how it's closed source. Akash is also quite robust in its price action, with being on the verge of new USD highs as well as against Bitcoin. Elio is also continuously vouching Akash as his highest conviction AI play, which is great in terms of endorsement, as I expect him to keep mentioning the project to his vast audience, which will be bullish leading up to those peak euphoria times. Akash has not achieved the same network effects as Render yet, but with everything I just said and for AKT to be at 1.4 billion in valuation, I'd be extremely surprised if this thing doesn't at least still 5x from here. Render doing a similar multiple on the lower end is also quite likely, but not as much as it is with AKT. AIOZ will also be getting an A. Super solid project that's already pretty much done a 100x from its bottom. However, that doesn't mean it still can't perform well from this point on. The market cap sits at a quite conservative 900 million, plus with the FDV matching this, a 5 to 10x for AIOZ from this point should by no means catch anyone off guard. The chart versus Bitcoin is also going vertical, and how AIOZ is perhaps a bit of a unique project focusing on the AI marketplace and content delivery. I'd say the horizon looks quite bright for this thing. I'll now be ranking the 3 ASI crypto with Fetch, Singularity, and Ocean Protocol. I'll do so individually for now, but when the ASI token is close to coming out, we'll definitely be doing an in-depth review of its significance in the AI crypto landscape, as it could cause a dramatic shift. For now though, I'll be putting Fetch in the S, Singularity in A, and Ocean in B. Fetch I think has been an absolute behemoth this cycle. I've genuinely been impressed by its resilience. Again, like almost every crypto we've named so far, its price action has been superb. New highs strength versus Bitcoin, the whole lot. But most importantly, its specialization in autonomous agents is something it has such a significant first mover advantage on over any other crypto that I don't see any competition even getting close. This feat is what easily locks this in at the S for me. With Singularity Net, I think this is one of two crypto I'll likely hit a 100x on this cycle. The other we'll also mention soon. We got in at that 4-cent mark back in early 2023, and the main reason for being bullish on AGIX is not the project itself. Its fundamentals and traction are decent. It more so again has to do with that bullish price action we're seeing time and time again with every AI coin, and also as importantly it's the vastly experienced team. I think easily one of the best in this entire decentralized AI space. Ocean goes in B, but don't see this as a bad ranking, not at all. The project may not be as strong as these others, but regardless the fundamentals are well entrenched within the coin, so nothing to worry about in an investment standpoint. WorldCoin gets an A, but before you get offended hear me out. I think if you're all in on this AI crypto narrative, what you're probably well aware of is our whole motto is that we need a hedge to centralized AI. But in the same way all these decentralized AI projects hedge against centralized AI, we can use WorldCoin to hedge against decentralized AI. As much as we want decentralized AI to win, we don't know what transpires in the end. And if we're objectively speaking, it's more likely centralized AI wins. If that's the case, then using WorldCoin, the only centralized AI project on the blockchain, as the proxy for this could prove to be quite lucrative. I like this thesis a lot, but my only caveat is whether this'll all be determined this cycle, or over multiple cycles. Regardless, I think the average crypto investor would be surprised at just how incredible WorldCoin can perform by the end of this bull run. For those reasons, I hold a decent amount of WorldCoin, not because I support them per se, but more so the prospect of yielding big gains. Now if we gave NEAR as an AI project B, ICP I'll also be giving B, whereas NEAR has the paramount edge in terms of having the AI layer 1 narrative. Whereas we all know narratives are immensely important during bullish uptrends, ICP on the other hand has greater developments on the AI front. Hence the two I'm sort of giving an equal weighting. ICP fans may question this and say that we actually have the tech, but they must understand that this is not being perpetuated as much as it should. All the biggest figures in crypto rarely mention ICP at all, let alone ICP and AI. This has a massive impact on how strong this narrative can get going and thus translate into bullish price action. And while we're at it, arweave also gets B, and this could perhaps be seen as the in-between of NEAR and ICP, where it has the narrative just not as strong as NEAR, and is much closer to integrating AI, just not at the level of ICP yet. Golem I will give C, but not because it's a bad project. I just think in what it does in sharing computing power it doesn't really differentiate itself from some of the more profound projects like RNDR and akash. Bittensor I'm giving an S. This idea probably would have been consensus about 2 months ago, but as of late TAO has struggled quite a bit. Since then a lot of TAO hate started to pile on, especially by those who missed the 50 to 750 run up. Personally though, I did not bat an eye. I'm still extremely bullish on Bittensor, having not sold a single token. I still believe TAO will be one of the biggest AI winners this cycle. This downward price action could be attributed to needing a cool down during this 1500% run up, and some overall FUD about the product. Eric Wall and Martin Shkreli Bear posted, but it was bad English T, one of the biggest TAO holders, who responded back to them saying Bittensor has a lot of problems, but they failed to name any. Instead he took it upon himself to criticize the actual flaws of Bittensor this past month, calling out the exploitation of TAO mining by subnet owners and how validators are at fault. The result was the increase of subnets from 32 to what will eventually be 64. This criticism of the network is something I find healthy and a must for any crypto project. That is the only way the product can genuinely improve. To me, TAO still has the potential to reach as much as 50 to 100 billion in market cap this bull. I think of any asset this easily has the highest ceiling, and for that it must go in S. And while we're on the topic, we might as well rank Based AI, which I'll insert in the B for now. If you're unaware, Based is sort of a Bittensor competitor that's more so focused on decentralizing LLMs with the incorporation of privacy via homomorphic encryption and zero-knowledge proofs. It's a very interesting and ambitious play where the main net is still yet to go live. I don't want to give a higher ranking right now as there's still not a lot of public information on its network, but I also can't give it a lower ranking because relative to its sub 200 million market cap it could end up being quite the buy in these zones. As if this thing works, believe me, there's a lot of upside still from here. As far as all the on-chain quote-unquote AI plays like OPSEC, HashAI, NOS, dsync, blendr, DAI, and NMT, all of these I'll be putting in the B tier. I'd categorize these as perhaps the beta plays to a lot of the assets named so far. They've all had pretty strong moves to the upside during that February to March AI pump, but since have come down substantially. They now find themselves down quite a bit, and what some may argue as pretty good buy zones. These assets all come in on average between the 100 to 300 million market cap level. I believe if AI truly is the narrative of this cycle and all the major assets in the A and S run to significant valuations, these will be those plays that give you those 5, 10, perhaps 20 X's. At the same time, however, these assets will also give you the most risk. It depends on your situation and current investments, but if you're still looking to allocate heavy into the markets, I would seriously consider this on-chain AI realm, as this could be your best bet. It could even be where one or two of them go mainstream and join the likes of the S's and A's. In that case, you're looking at very big returns. Netmind has a decent chance to be that crypto, but a lot of things would have to go right. We then also got OXO and paal AI. Back last year when I was looking into the two, I opted to go much heavier into OXO due to its uniqueness in using AI for analyzing vulnerabilities in code and as well as its privacy aspect, versus the generic chatbot feature of paal. That said, it's not a competition. These two have pretty much synced up perfectly in its price action, and I expect that to continue happening. OXO was the other 100x candidate for me this cycle. I picked it up at around 3 cents, so it'd need to get to $3 for that to happen, which is still a 10x from here. It will be difficult, but again, these on-chain projects like OXO and paal AI have that possibility sitting at just under 300 million. I will also be giving both these projects B. Objectively, they're not the best representation of AI crypto, not exactly being groundbreaking projects, but they have the community and fundamentals, which is a lot of the time what we mostly care about. Ionet I'm also giving B, which may catch some of you off guard, as the hype behind this project is immense given their claim of infrastructure over competitors. That said, this doesn't straight off the bat translate to Ionet becoming the #1 decentralized crypto GPU play. There's some questions and concerns I have about the project, such as controversies with the founder Ahmad, who was once a part of Arab Folio, who were caught up in some scam projects, a former employee coming out with allegations against the project and Ahmad, where even Martin Shkreli tweeted this in response. On top of that, with launching at over $1 billion FDV, I think this could be one of those projects that faces the same early demise of VC coins. But once it does get to certain value areas, I may put a small bid in, because going back to the infrastructure, nothing's really close in the crypto landscape. OLAs I'll be giving C, orai B, comai C, EMC C, qubic B, agrs C, and numeraire C. These are the small cap beta AI crypto I've mentioned before on this channel, with interesting things going for each of them. Expect these assets to be highly volatile and risky, but this is what the AI trenches consist of, where you get your hands dirty. These will be the ones to give you incredible returns, but at the risk of losing everything. My personal strategy with these since the beginning has been to establish small set it and forget it type bags. I plan to sell these crypto during the AI blow off top, where it'll be a combination of getting 30-40 X's on some and 0 returns on others. The graph and arkm I'll give C, but only because they're not exactly AI projects. In the context of this AI specific ranking, I can have them much higher, but they are great projects to just so happen to use AI in some of their tasks but aren't actually AI crypto. Arkm in specific I like a lot as a project. I'd definitely look into this if you haven't already. Origintrail gets C. Arbius gets C, although this one I actually own a little more of than you think. I like the leverage of anyone's GPU power for different ML tasks, which can even be used for DAO models. I'll say this bluntly, AI will be the narrative of this cycle. Get ready for GPT-5 this summer and prepare in advance accordingly. There is a very strong chance that making a portfolio from these crypto allocated in a specific way could be your only hope to still make a 10x from this point on. I see limited options otherwise. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Sign up to the Fair Desk Crypto Exchange to unlock the ability to trade many of these assets without having to do KYC. And I will see you all soon.